Welcome to episode 72 of Paris Playbook. Today I'm joined by Peyton Hart of the UW-Stout men's hockey team. Got back-to-back episodes with WEAC hockey players. Last episode, Stevens Point, and this episode we got Stout. So doing a little tour of the WEAC. Peyton, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Tomorrow's Friday. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And pretty big last weekend for you guys. But we can dive into kind of the end of the regular season and stuff here when we start talking about Stout. But before we get to Stout, kind of touch on some of your pre-college hockey experiences. And you played a few years with the Milwaukee Junior Admirals. It was like 13U, 14U, and then 15U.
Yeah, so it goes a little farther than that. I started playing AAA my squirt major years when I was 10 years old, around my fifth grade
Okay.
year. And then from fifth grade through my sophomore year of high school, so at 6 seasons, I believe, I played for Milwaukee Junior Admirals. So it was kind of a lengthy stretch. I know if you kind of look at like stats or whatever, like it's not as accurate with the time periods of when I played, but yeah,
Yeah.
six years of my life and dedicated through AAA and travel and a lot of sacrifices made with missing school events and such, and but it was totally worth it, that's for sure.
So you think it put you in a better spot than like playing, obviously a lot of kids will play just high school hockey their whole high school career and people have different opinions on whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah, I think for me at least, I made a ton of great friends. The competition was definitely had its highs and had its lows for sure. We played some of the best teams in the country. I know we went out east to play some teams like North Jersey and I think some Michigan teams like Belle Tire at the time. They were like top five teams in the country. Eventually, I got to play Shattuck St. Mary's, where a lot of NHLers come out of there, and I was very fortunate to play against some of those guys and say, hey, I used to play against him and whoever. But actually, I was very fortunate after my 6 years of junior admirals in AAA. I played 1 year high school back in Wisconsin. I'm sure you want to get into that or whatever, but it was the change, like you said, some guys play all high school. It's trying to see both angles of AAA and then high school, like the positives and negatives of it. Obviously, AAA and playing travel, you're mainly playing in front of your family or sometimes friends, but high school it's like a whole different situation. I know Wisconsin high school is a little different than let's say Minnesota is by a long shot, but uh, it's very cool to see. I was very fortunate with my high school that we were able to have a pretty packed student section every time and playing in front of your friends, and it was definitely a game changer and in a different thing for me, and it was pretty cool experience. Not a lot of people can say they experienced both of those aspects from AAA and high school as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're the first that I know of that's done that. Most people just do one or the other the whole time. They don't get that experience both. That probably set you up kind of for juniors and college because you already had kind of a taste of multiple different leagues and different talent levels and different things. Do you think playing both like helped you, or do you think it really didn't kind of make a difference in a hockey sense, but more of a I don't know, it was like a social thing and
I think playing AAA definitely helped my skill set and my personality grow. Obviously, being like a fifth grader and being 10 years old that time to growing into like a young adult and a young man, and then and going into high school like your later years, you really helped me develop as a person, as a hockey player, and all around, just in that aspect. So I think and then going into like high school hockey, obviously the skill level in some areas is can be less, but it really, like I said, like the hockey sense of things, AAA helped me with my skills and the personality aspect all the way through into high school. And I was able, I mean, I only played 1 year of high school, but that helped me get a good avenue of to get my name out there and have some junior and eventually college coaches start sniffing around a little bit.
what division was your high school in Wisconsin?
So he used to be just all one. And now I think 2 years after I had left high school and was in juniors, they split it into one and two. So I think it's currently still Division One.
So did you guys play like Notre Dame Prep and
We
schools like
never,
that or
we weren't that. I think our like rival school Waukesha at the time. So I played with Kettle Moraine, McQuantico, Oconomowoc was like our big like our three school co-op, which you don't hear much like ever at all. I know some states have that, but we had so we were called KMMO. and Waukesha was our crosstown rival. We shared the same rink, and it was always pretty cool. Waukesha was at the time a lot like they had the more skilled and put together players. They always played like Notre Dame. They played Hudson at the time. Hudson was very good. We played, trying to think, Northland Pines out of Eagle River. They were a big team, and I remember playing them in one of our holiday tournaments, and that was very cool. Like everyone's obviously there's no school. It's middle of the week, but everyone's there. Like they pack it, they bring some of their fans and friends as well. So that was always, I think, Northland Pines and I mean, Arrowhead, they're always a huge team. They're in our conference, but they're kind of cross town, like 10 minutes away or so. But some of those teams had some very skilled players that are still playing today in college and higher levels as well.
Actually, a really good friend of mine went to Northland Pines and played hockey there, and um, probably would have been gone by the time you were. I'm just trying to think because we both graduated last year from college, so I don't think like that the time would have lined up. But I went to Houghton, and Houghton they'd play some Wisconsin teams. Um, there was a hosted at Michigan Tech. They do this like holiday tournament every
Okay.
Christmas, and for the last few years, Fond du Lac's been going to that.
Yeah,
And
they're good.
then
Yep.
this year, Houghton played Notre Dame down at the Trenton Showcase. Notre Dame beat them, I think, 4-1. But I mean, they're like the best team in Wisconsin, so it's not a
Yeah,
bad loss, I guess.
Notre Dame's a good I think they have their girls program. I think it's a co-op too as well, but I can't remember. I think I was watching the high school tournament last year as well out of Wisconsin, and I think there was a brother and a sister who played like I think it was Bayport or something around that like Green Bay area. Brother and a sister on the boys and girls team both won state, and my dad was saying like that'd have been awesome. Like how cool that'd have been if you're a parent
Yeah,
watching both your kids on the same day, like an hour apart, win state
that'd be
championships.
crazy.
That's insane.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, you're not lucky enough where both of like the teams are that good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in the juniors, you played most of your career for the same team in the same league. A lot of guys like bounce around; they play in a couple different leagues or in the same league all over. But you were with the Rochester Grizzlies, right?
Yep.
For most, and then you went up for a little bit to the Knoll and you played with the Austin Bruins. I actually thought you played your whole career with the Bruins because I just saw your little profile picture and I
Yeah.
couldn't see the Grizzly. The jerseys look kind of similar to the Bruins ones. And then I looked at Elite Prospects and I saw that it was the Grizzlies. But are they connected, like in a sense?
Yeah, so 2018 was my rookie year. I was 17. I was a senior actually. I went and played in Minnesota. And I think I went to a tournament and my advisor at the time said, "Hey, you should come up to this tournament and play. It's like I'm putting together a team in Blaine, or not Blaine, Edina, Minnesota." And I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll come do it." And it was in early August, I believe, when I played, and I was very fortunate to play fairly well and talk to some coaches. And this coach, his name is Casey Mignon, and he coaches up in Alaska. I can't remember which Division One school it is, either Fairbanks or Anchorage, but he used to coach at he used to be my head coach at the time in Rochester for 1 year, then he moved on to Chippewa in the Knoll. I met him and I met my future billet father at the time, Mike Akins. They said, "Hey, we're rebranding this team in Rochester, Minnesota. They used to be called the Ice Hawks. They didn't have they came under new ownership. They didn't have a good record, a good reputation at the time. They had new ownership, and it was the owners of the Bruins at the time. So they were kind of making like an affiliation with the tier two and the tier three. And at first, like a bunch of people were like, "You don't want to go there, man. Like they don't have many wins. Like look at their past years." I'm like, "I don't know. It's a new team." And I thought about it, and I'm like, let's do it." So then I like, signed the tender agreement or whatever it was at the time, and that's how I kind of learned more and more about it. Like my advisor told me about it. These coaches were harping like you should come here. Like this is gonna be a great experience. And then I visited there as well, visited the school at the time, the family, like everything. It was perfect. And I tell a bunch of people, they said like, did you like Rochester? I said I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was the best 3 years of my life for sure.
Yeah. So you're glad that nobody convinced you out of it.
I know, not at all. I don't.
So, how did that work then with going up to the Austin Bruins for a few games? I mean, did they have injuries and they needed a guy you were playing well, so they pulled you up, or how'd that work?
Yeah, I remember getting a call, I think I can't remember when it was, either early November, and they said I came up for some practices in the few weeks before, and they were like, "Hey, just so you know, like eventually you might get a call up." I said, "Okay, that'd be pretty cool." Like I wanted to play in the NAL. I started that year in 2019, 2020 with Janesville. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I was great enough to have the opportunity and kind of know what I needed to get better at and what I was doing right. So like the difference between the leagues, obviously, it depends on where you go or high and low. But when I got the call early November, it said, "Hey, we want you to come with to Minot," and I was like, "All right, sweet, let's do it." So I think I had one shift in my first game, out in Minot, in the second game of the weekend on a Saturday, but I remember it was the second period, and they're like, "You're up, you're going." I'm like, "Okay, here we go," and I hopped on the ice. And I came right down the slot. Like I was kind of joining a rush, came right down the slot. Guys going around the net, and I'm like wide open in the slot. And I'm like coming down. I'm like screaming from I'm like, oh my God, like this actually might be like this would be unreal, like unreal story. Like, hey, you're on the ice for 3 seconds, get your first goal. Unfortunately, I didn't get the puck. And then later on that shift, I ended up causing a I got the puck, took 3 strides, and threw a almost breakaway pass right to the other team. And that was my one shift. So it's a pretty interesting experience, but I was happy to say that I got it done and got the monkey off the back for sure. And then I think a few around Thanksgiving time and then around Christmas as well. I was kind of up and down with them as well, playing as needed. They had some injuries, and eventually I got some like more and more shifts and more playing time, even like late game playing time when the Bruins were winning, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." I'm starting to get more and more experience. Then I got more comfortable as it went.
It's kind of interesting when you think about it, how the junior leagues pretty much operate just like the pro leagues. Guys
Mhm.
getting pulled up and down, guys, getting traded and whatever. I mean, you're not some guys take classes when they're in juniors and some don't, but I mean it's very similar to the way that like, the pro leagues operate with getting up and down and trades and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like I said, when they rebranded the Rochester team to the Grizzlies, and I was looking around the league, and my advisor at the time said they're gonna treat it as like you said, like a pro team, how they have the I guess like the minors in a way, and then like the majors. And I was looking around like the NA3 and the NAL, like there wasn't many teams that had that opportunity. So I thought it was very intriguing.
Yeah.
Whether I got obviously I didn't have to go to Austin to be a part of their team. I could have gone anywhere else with NAL teams if they asked me to. There wasn't many teams like that. Now you see like if you look at the NA3 now and NAL, there's more teams that are even in the same town that have their NA3 and their NAL teams, and you see a lot of guys signing tenders to those NAL teams. So it's very, very interesting how obviously I'm not right with this, but like it's that I don't want to say Rochester and Austin started that, but it was very cool how more and more of those teams are starting to adapt that type of system.
And it could be a big pull for some of those NAL three teams. Like, hey, if you come here, there's a chance you could get some more exposure. You can go up to the NAL if guys get hurt, or it might be more of a kind of like a recruiting pitch to, hey, you want to come play on our team because you could have more opportunities that come out of this. So I mean, it could open some more doors for different guys.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
So let's talk stout hockey here for a while. Obviously, that's where you're at now. Year one, you got a lot of playing time. Did you expect to get a lot of playing time? Like, kind of once you started practicing and stuff, getting a feel for everything, were you kind of like, oh, I'm going to play a lot? Or was it kind of just as the season went, you just kept getting more and more and playing well? And
I think so I left juniors a year early. Obviously I played 3 years, and I left high school a year early as well. So my senior year, like I said, I was playing in Rochester. So after my third year of juniors, I was fortunate enough with my team to make it to the our league championship. Just came up short with the runner up, but I was fortunate enough to win a handful of accolades, including MVP and some of those things. And I said, you know what, like it's time. And that whole year was like I didn't make the null. I said, this is I want to go to college and I want to find a school that's right for me. And I found Stout with their great academics and everything. And then once I got here, being the youngest kid in the team, I came in with a class of roughly, including myself, 11 freshmen and I think 2 transfers. So 13, including myself, new players. So I'm like, okay, I got to make a name for myself at some point. So it was it was kind of a tough transition. I lived with 3 seniors and then a buddy I knew from juniors, who was a sophomore at the time. So I didn't there was like a whole house of just freshmen. So I didn't get like in right away with like all the freshmen as like one would try to do. So you kind of have some like connections right away. So it's kind of tough like with senior and freshmen. Like they were very, very nice to me, and some of my best friends still to this day, but it was kind of a tough transition. So the first few weeks of school and hockey, like trying to be like, oh, he's just the youngest kid in the team, like trying to get that name off of me was kind of tough. And then once I adjusted and got more comfortable and more confident with my play on and off the ice, I think that's when I started earning a little more respect from some of my teammates. And then I just kind of went from there, and I valued any second that I got, whether it was just playing fourth line or getting two shifts a period or whatever it was, or even in special teams and late game situations. I was very fortunate that and valued any little time that I could get.
Do you think it helped you at all to be like matched in a house with like a bunch of seniors to kind of like learn from them and kind of get some friends that are a little higher up on the team? You know, they got a different perspective. They've been around the block. They know what's going on. Do you think that because had benefits for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they went through because at the time that my freshman year was our new coach Mike McDonald, his first full season, because the year before was the COVID shortened COVID season when it started in like January. And so they've been through the coaching change, they've been through COVID, like they know like the absolute highs and the absolute lows of like the program and how it works. And I think that was huge for like the biggest positive being in like a senior led household was that, like you mentioned, the leadership, like just showing me, say, hey, like you like this is the place you want to be. You want to be, if you want to go to like with schooling, if you need help with here, you want to go to this building or see this professor. And with hockey, like this is how it is. Like this team has these types of guys and they play this way. And it was a huge entryway into college hockey. And I thank them still to this day for that. They helped me a lot with kind of getting out of my shell. I'm a pretty reserved person at first until you get to know me. So they definitely helped me crack out of my shell and get to the point, help me get to the point where I am today now.
Yeah, definitely a huge advantage over some of your other freshman buddies that were coming in. So last year, there's a couple exciting games that I want to bring up. I was reading your bio on your team website, and one of them's a Northland College game. You scored twice in 18 seconds. You tied the game, and you had a game winner. So kind of take us through the end of that game. I mean, obviously, to score twice in any game is exciting, but game winner and the tying goal in that short of amount of time is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so it was we Northland they've been a team we've either beaten by a lot or it's been really really tight in the past few years. So Friday we handled them pretty well, and like we had so many opportunities, like a lot of shots, just couldn't really get much to go, even though we ended up fortunately winning the game. And for me personally, it was kind of that battle, like trying to just stay confident, don't lose my confidence because like I'm getting the chances, but they aren't going. Like they weren't going the week before, but I'm like my parents said, just keep working hard, like it'll come, like it'll come. Imagine the results. And it all kind of built up into the end. We were down, I can't remember if it was, I think it was 2-1, I think, or something like that. One goal game late, empty net, and I was kind of in the slot. My line mate and current line mate, Kobe Keller, kind of found me out front, and I just shoveled it towards the net, and it went top right. And I was just like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, we got it. We finally got it, and we tied. Like, we can't afford to really drop many points at this point of the season for conference. And then I think we stayed in the ice because we pretty much just got out there. We got back to 5-on-5. And then there was the play led us to, it was kind of getting later in my shift, and the play led us to a face off to the right of my goalie in our D zone. And like almost immediately. And I like kind of looked to the bench. I was like, I'm good if you want me. Like kind of put my hand up, like I'm okay, I'm fine. Like I can take the face off and we'll kind of see where it goes. Like not even thinking like to win it. I'm just like, let's just play it out and see what happens. And then we were fortunate enough to win the face off, and we're kind of coming up ice. My teammate made a nice little slip play to me on the left side of the ice, and I'm kind of dipped my right shoulder in, going towards the net, kind of just see what happens. And then I like looked up real quick and saw a little pocket in the top right glove side, and I just like ripped it and said, okay, whatever. And it went in. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And it was pretty funny. I think I forgot who said it, but one of my teammates said before, right after we scored the game tying goal, I said, let's go win this thing. And I was like, yeah, like we'll see. Like let's just kind of worry about not losing it at the end here. So thinking back on that often, if I ever do, it was kind of like a cool moment. And doesn't happen too often to anyone. I was very fortunate to be able to live in that moment and be a part of it, that's for sure.
Were you guys at Northland?
Yeah, we were. So it's kind of, and I know
Okay.
one of my buddies, Parker Severson used to play. He was a captain in the same division I was in juniors. We played together a lot, and and we became really close friends. And every year that we beat him, he'd come up to me after a game, and if I'd score, it's like every year, man, you keep beating me because we beat him in playoffs and juniors. We beat him here, and I was fortunate enough to have this incident, I guess you could call it, with him happen. And he was like, every year, man, like, damn, you beat me every single year. It's always you. It's always you. I said, oh, it is what it is, but we joke about it now, and it was definitely a cool experience. So
Yeah, kind of nice to have something you can hold over your buddies.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
So the other game was against River Falls, and that same year you had multiple hat tricks throughout the year, but you ended up having one against River Falls. So I mean, obviously any hat trick game is got to be exciting, and when you get two goals, you want that third. So in that River Falls game, I mean, was that I guess I didn't look at the score, but was that a close game, and you guys needed that hat trick to win, or were you guys blowing them out of the water? How did that game shake down?
It was because with the WIAC and playoffs, it's a best of, I don't know if you know, if it's a best of two series, and so if you win on Friday, like that's great, you're leading the series. But if you lose the next night, it's tied. You play like a 20-minute like mini game. It restarts. It's just a 20-minute period, like immediately after that game. Like they cut the ice and you go right on. That's like considered the game three. So we had a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, but the thought in the back of our minds like we have to win like Saturday, because like notoriously like I mean some of the older guys on the team, they a few years ago dealt with the same thing. They won on Friday and they lost on Saturday, then they end up losing the mini game. So the team that has momentum on Saturday usually ends up either winning game two or wins game two and then the mini game. So our thought process was like, let's just take care of business. Let's get it done in game two, and let's not have to worry about like the mini game three. So I was just kind of going about it like any other game, but it was the most memorable game ever being at home, because we had a home game obviously in playoffs. It was packed, like all the like every single sports team that I could think of that was at our school was there. Like the whole place, like at that point it was standing room only. So it was a really cool experience. And so it was very, very loud. And I think at the time we scored early and then they scored like immediately after. So it was 1-1. And then the second came around, and I think one of them was I came down like the middle, and I like just tried to do like a chuck it to the net off the backhand, and it went like snuck through 5 hole. And that like put us ahead, I believe. And then something else maybe happened if they tied it or not. Then we ended up getting a shorthanded goal as well on a breakaway. And then later on in the game, I think it was 3-2, like the whole third period. And I just kept like looking at the clock. I'm like, oh my God, like, this is the longest period ever. Like, I just want to get this game over with. And I think it was like getting down to the end of it. They're thinking about pulling their goalie, and their goalie made a little mishap behind their own net. And one of our guys kind of busted through his hands, got the puck, and fed me out front for my third, like wide open net. And that was kind of like just the relief off the shoulders, like, oh, we got it. Like we're up by two with like 3 minutes left. Like we got this now. So it was definitely, I
Yeah.
remember like looking back at videos of that game still, like it's like I said, it's the most memorable one because obviously with the hat trick, but just the huge win for our team. Like we haven't won as a team, haven't won a playoff series like that in a while. So making it to the next round, the semifinals, having a chance to compete for something greater was definitely the coolest feeling. And that whole night, like with the celebration, with just being together and everything, it was really, really cool to experience it and all take it in.
Were the fans, did they just go nuts after that win?
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting because the away team at our rink has to walk through. It's like right, like their locker room's like right off the lobby. So you walk through these doors, and it's just like a sea of fans you gotta walk through. So all the football guys and some of the baseball guys were telling me on Monday at school, they were like, oh, I've never been to a hockey game before, but I didn't know like the players came by and we're just chirping the goalie, like just saying that he sucks and everything. But it's like, and it's like, I mean, I guess you can do that as long as we win the game. But it was pretty cool to like see some of those guys that had never been to like one of our games before, haven't been or don't know much about the sport in general, like
Yeah.
coming to our games and supporting us and saying like it was the best experience I've ever had at a college sporting event. Like I can't wait to go next year and all that. So definitely very, very cool, and one of them probably the most memorable moment of my college hockey career up until this point for sure.
And then maybe you guys attracted some new fans that'll be coming around to all your different games.
Yeah, hopefully, especially in this playoff push, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, you got your final series coming up here against Eau Claire, right?
Yep.
Pretty good team. I mean, ranked in the top 25, always a good team. I mean, the YX full of good teams. So I mean, it's good competition every week. But talk about the importance of this weekend coming down the final stretch and what some wins would mean here for you guys, like moving into the WIAC tournament.
Yes, we're currently sitting at third. I believe we've clinched home ice advantage, but we obviously we want more, and we're chasing 5 points behind Eau Claire. We played them pretty tight earlier in the year, lost to them in OT. Um, I think, I mean, we got to win obviously both in regulation or something like that, and to get into potential for a bye and get the 2 seed. But I mean, we know how big it is. We know like the expectations. We know like every time we play them, the rink will be packed, the energy will be high, like the emotions will be high, and it's all about just controlling that, like trying to be the best versions of ourselves and just control our own destiny. Like if we win both these games this weekend, great, and then we'll just focus on the next week and our next opponent. If we lose, it's okay. Like we'll still battle the next night or the next week and be ready to rock for whoever we need to face, whether we're the 2 seed or the 4 seed, whatever it may be. So I think the approach this week is just take it like it's any other game. Like it's a playoff atmosphere. We said when we beat Stevens Point 2 weeks ago that this is a playoff game. Like it has the playoff feeling, and all these games are have that playoff feeling at this point. So we just need to treat every one of those games like that and just play our game and control our own destiny at this point.
Right. Just control the controllables. Don't worry about
Yeah,
anything else.
exactly. Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention your jerseys quick because I'm a big jersey guy. Logos, like uniforms, a lot. There's some teams that have the ugliest jerseys in the world. Other teams have nice combos. You guys, I really like your navy blue with the white stripe and then the little blue devil or whatever it is on
Yep.
the front. I think it's a pretty clean, nice looking jersey. Do you have a favorite jersey combination that you guys have?
I think it's kind of hard. It really depends on how the media pictures come out too, because it depends on who's taking pictures and how they edit them or whatever. But I think the clean whites at home with the blue offsetting breezers and breezer covers is a cool look as well at home. But then like when you're on the road, the all blue kind of like color rush type thing is pretty cool as well. So I don't have like a favorite. I know some guys say like they love the whites, they love the blues, but I think, I mean, whatever helps us win in a way, and whatever makes us look good doing it, is the one I'm going with. But I think we're very fortunate to have a pretty good color combo and a jersey combo and a pretty cool logo. We just got new jerseys last year, and they're kind of revamped with the new modern Blue Devil logo on it. They look pretty badass, I'd say.
Yeah, you guys are lucky with good colors like navy blue and white. They're
Yep.
basic colors, but they look really clean when they're done well, and they mesh really well together. I mean, some schools like Bowling Green are not blessed
Yeah.
with good colors,
Yeah,
orange and
exactly. Yep.
brown. I mean, there's not a lot to work with there.
Yeah. Nope, not at all.
So you guys are definitely lucky with good colors. So what's your favorite sport other than hockey?
I'd say baseball. I'm a big Milwaukee Brewers fan. Growing up kind of around Milwaukee, my parents were fortunate enough to take me to a bunch of Brewers games and as a kid and outside of hockey, obviously, that was one of my more memorable moments growing up and watching like a lot of the Brewers' success over the times. I'm a huge sports fan in general. Like if you ask any of my close friends, like I love watching sports. I will literally watch anything from hockey or football to cricket. Like I just love it. I love being immersed in it. Like I'm a huge college basketball fan, even during the regular season. Like I try to get like anyone does, like the best March Madness bracket possible. But I just love like the upsets and the just like the big games on Saturdays and the prime time. I love just immersing myself in sports. But if I had to pick one that I love the most, I'd probably say baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I love like all sports all the time. So do you go Wisconsin then for college basketball?
Yep, yeah, I'm a big Badger, Packers, and Brewers fan. All Wisconsin sports whatsoever. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
not anything else, but I'd say just the basic Badgers and Packers and Brewers gets it done for me. That's for sure.
Tough goal last night against Michigan there. Well, I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on there. They should
uh,
have easily won that game.
they go through it every year, and my family and I always talk about it. We don't have high expectations because we know that I mean, in our opinion, at least we shouldn't be ranked that high in some aspects, but because we're just a bunch of kids just trying to play basketball against some of those big dogs like Purdue and some of those bigger teams. But we're just enjoying the little moments we have and the big wins. Like when we beat Marquette every year, that win feels like one win feels like three or four. So I'll
Yeah.
take that any day of the week.
Yeah. Well, there's still a chance that they'll have I
Yep.
mean, if they finish the year right, they get a good seed in the tournament and make some
Yeah.
noise. I mean, the seeding, it's the last couple of years, it really doesn't seem to matter. I mean, Purdue was a heavy favorite last year and they got wiped out by a
Yeah,
16 seed.
exactly. Yeah.
Princeton made a run and they were, I don't know, like a 14 seed or
Fifth, I think
something.
they're
So,
15 or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So it doesn't
crazy.
really matter what your seed is as long as you get in.
No, not at all. It seems like a lot of teams in the past have been just like I got St. Peter's team too. It was like the first 15 seed 2 years ago to make it to the Elite Eight. Like it's insane. Like there's
Yeah,
gonna be more and
yeah,
more of those teams. I wouldn't be surprised if another 16 seed beats a 1 seed in the next like few years. So
yeah,
just the way it's just
yeah.
kind of the way of the road and the media and the fan bases. It's really helping control that.
Makes it more fun. Like
Yeah, exactly for sure.
it's not fun when all the favorites always win.
Yeah,
Like,
you can have a Final Four with all 1 seeds. Like
yeah, that would be who wants to watch that?
yeah, exactly.
Only the fans of those teams.
Exactly.
So if you could sit on the bench, like on a bench with any athlete ever for like an hour or something and just pick their brain about sports or life or whatever, who would you sit with and what would you talk about?
I think sticking with hockey, Sidney Crosby for sure. I'm a huge Penguins fan. My favorite player growing up has always been Sidney Crosby. I've always looked up to him and his work ethic and his aspects and his face-offs too, because I'm obviously a center and watching his face-off techniques is unbelievable and how strong he is and how skilled he is and what he does like with and without the puck and away from it. It's unbelievable. I'd say I don't want to talk to him for a while, kind of pick his brain. I mean another one. I don't really know. Just trying to think like maybe like if a baseball player like Ryan Braun was always my favorite Brewer growing up, and I always idolized him, and he was a tank in his time, so he knew how to get stuff done. But I think those definitely Sidney Crosby for sure. I'm sure you could kind of rotate the second one in, but maybe like if I had to go like way back, maybe like Wayne Gretzky or something like that, just kind of see
Yeah,
like how did you get so good? How did you get so dominant in the sport? Or like even like
right.
Michael Jordan, like he's a like his work ethic, like I envy. Like he will just like I was saying, I was watching The Last Dance a few years ago and like they lost the finals or in the playoffs or whenever it was, and like the next day you got the whole team back in the gym, like just working on building for next year. And then I think they ended up winning it the next year. It's just like that is unbelievable. So I think those guys would definitely I'd like to pick their brains a bit and just talk about sports and life and everything.
Yeah, and Sid's been so good for so long, so consistent every
Yeah,
year. Like you know what you're gonna get, and he's not going down as he gets older either. It's kind
not
of
at
like
all. No.
fine wine; it gets better. But yeah, even like the life aspect for some of these guys, and like you said, the work ethic. It's not even just about like, oh, give me some tips on how to be a good hockey player. It'd be like, how do you navigate life and with some of these guys and the advice they could give with that, just how to be a hard worker, how to be happy. I mean, because some of those guys have been through so much that they can give you little advice on how to deal with stress or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. And those guys have been through everything from the highest highs, lowest to lows, like and dealing with like your fan base or like social media or all that stuff, like and family and kind of the balance between sports and life. Like that's especially at that higher level. I know like with as a Division 3 athlete, like school and sports can be too much at my level. I can't imagine what it could be like as a professional athlete and as a higher level athlete in any sport, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'd be hard, I think, to deal with like the media and having like
Oh, for
somebody
sure,
kind of
yeah.
nosing around in your personal life all the time. Like you can't go to the beach without media like copping a picture of you like Sidney Crosby's looking a little overweight today on the beach or whatever it is. Like they're always got athletes and actors and actresses and they get the worst angle possible to take their picture, and then they're like, it's like you can't even just enjoy time with your family without the media. That's what I would struggle with.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you see that picture of Patrick Mahomes the other day in the locker room? Like, that's pretty
No.
funny. Like, there, all the media is everywhere, especially with those guys. Like,
Oh
it's pretty
yeah.
funny. And, like, he's even making fun of himself. But I mean, that proves your point exactly right. Like, there's always someone somewhere watching you doing whatever it is. So, especially now, like
Yeah.
in this day and age, like, it's unbelievable, like, how fast stuff travels.
Oh yeah, it is. It's crazy. So I don't know if you're a big movie or TV guy, but do you have a favorite actor or like actress that you just like all their movies or TV shows or whatever?
I don't. I mean, I was on the or I was watching the podcast with Nick because Nick and Rusky and I are pretty good buddies. We played together in Janesville for a bit, and I was watching him, and I mean, you guys were talking about Will Ferrell and how people kind of go towards Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, and I'm like, I'm gonna just be the most basic person ever. I love Will Ferrell. Like my favorite movie, is Step Brothers. Like he's hilarious, and old school, and all those types of
Oh
movies are
yeah, I love
awesome.
old school.
Steve Carell, The Office is my favorite show. Like I still watch it. Like I think I probably watched it like I probably ran through it about 6 or 7 times, the whole series, and just I'll have it on in the background over. Like I'll know every single scene as it is. But it's I think for Will Ferrell is definitely one of my favorite actors. Like he never like ceases to amaze anybody or impress anybody, and he's always hilarious no matter like how young or old he is in all his movies. So I think I have to go with him for sure.
Yeah, he's one of those actors where he really doesn't have many bad movies, and he just plays his character so well. He's always hilarious. Like you said, old school. I mean, that's a classic. Frank the Tank. It's just,
Yeah, exactly. Well, just it
just
fits like his whole like persona, like his looks and like kind of like how
oh
he
yeah,
just like it's him. Like that's just naturally him. Like he'll take his shirt off and
and
whatever
not
in the
afraid
middle of
to
it.
either.
Not afraid to like that's his personality. And like there's some people that like are so like serious with some of those roles and stuff, even like if they are like in hilarious, like in like Adam Sandler, like he won't even do some of the dumbest stuff. Like he's had his moments as well, but I know like Will Ferrell, like at LA Kings games will just not be afraid to rip his shirt off and like get people
Yeah.
fired up in the most random times. So that's what I love about him.
And I love that like I'm not trying to diss Will Ferrell, but he's not like ripped. He's not like the most attractive guy in the world, but he doesn't care. He just
No,
like throws it
he
out there. He's
owns
like,
it.
this is me and I'm gonna love life and live it and whatever.
Exactly. And that's why he's one of the best, that's for sure.
Definitely is. So why don't we end on music? What's your go-to for music?
I'm a big country guy. Every Friday morning, it's kind of my thing with morning skate. I'm always like one of the first guys in the room for morning skate, and I always throw on some country, kind of just chill out, like set the mood for game day, and just not have anything like super loud or super like low key. Just smooth country is pretty good for me. I'm a big fan of like Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean, some of those guys. And then like I like all kinds of music, but I know the past few years I've gotten really into to Nickelback. Like right before the game, like Nickelback's like my jam. And I know some people have like really opposite ends of the spectrum, different like thoughts about them, but I saw them in concert this past summer when they came to Milwaukee, and it was hands down the best concert. And I can say that with like the best concert, like show performance, music, everything, like best concert I've ever been to. And it was awesome. So I don't like I like all different kinds of music. Like I'll listen to rap, hip hop, whatever it is, but I think my main genre I'd say that Spotify Wrapped gives me every year is country. So I'm gonna stick with country.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about Nickelback because people either love them or they like absolutely hate him and can't stand him. And I've never understood that because they're a great band. They got a lot of great songs that like everybody knows if you hear it on the radio. And when I was at Tech, me and a bunch of buddies, we started talking about that. We're like, Nickelback's one of those bands where it's like they're not the greatest band in the world, but like they're solid. So why does everyone hate them? So we were gonna start this club called the We Like Nickelback Club, and we were actually we were gonna go through with it for a little bit. We never did, but then it's just kind of become this giant inside joke. We always just like we like Nickelback, and you know we send each other Nickelback memes or all this stuff. But I don't get it. I don't understand the
No, I
hatred
I don't
towards
either.
them.
I remember seeing something in the summer like why does everyone like, hate Nickelback so much? And I think I saw something like way back like early 2000s or mid 2000s. Some dude on Twitter at the time put like a tweet out like a meme saying something like whatever this is like just as bad as the quality of Nickelback's music. And then everyone kind of just jumped on the bandwagon, like, oh, they must be bad then, regardless of knowing them or not. But like you look at anyone, like they've heard that song before if you play it anywhere. Like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly who it's by or whatever, but you've heard it. Like it's to me,
yeah,
I like seeing like people do that because like to me it's good music.
yeah.
Like you
Oh
said, they're
yeah.
not the best, but it gets me fired up, that's for sure, in the moments that I need it. So
And it's stuff you can sing along to, Rockstar and This Afternoon and
yeah.
Photograph. Like you know the words, it just comes on the radio and you can't help but kind of hum along or sing along
Yeah,
to it.
exactly,
And
for sure.
I gotta say it quick though, because you said you like country. Terrible, sad news about Toby Keith. Very, very
Yeah.
shocking. I mean, I knew he was sick, obviously. He had the stomach cancer. I didn't know he was doing that poorly, but very sad. One of the greats to ever do it in the country world. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal personality too. I mean, that's a guy that loved life when he was living it. I mean, didn't care.
Oh, for sure. I saw someone on an X or Instagram the other day said something like America just lost like their number one fun uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's right though. Like he was awesome. He had so many good moments, and like I was like kind of shocked to see him and seeing all like the celebrities and current and former country singers like tweet about it or post about it saying like it's crazy that he's gone. Like even if they did know like it was coming, like. And I think his song he performed last year, I forgot what it's I think it's Don't Let the Old Man In or something like that. I listened to it the other day and it's been on the radio and playing more Toby Keith and it's like it's crazy like how and like in a deeper point of view like how that like song means so much and that's just it's unreal like how it really puts into perspective like how short things can be and you don't really know like how much you had it or whatever until it's gone. Especially like with sports, I know a lot of people say that like enjoy every moment because you never know and it could be your last game or your last practice or whatever it is, regardless of whatever it may be. So it's pretty sad that he's gone, but you know, he still has some of the best damn music ever, and I'll definitely be
Oh
bumping
yeah.
courtesy of the red, white, and blue on it's July 4th, that's for sure.
Yeah, the guy's an icon, and his music's gonna live on, and just eternity of country music. I mean, you think about it, he's got endless songs, and it's never gonna be stopped playing. But what you said about like living, you just gotta live your life like that, like sports, whatever it is, your things you enjoy, your hobbies. I mean, you just gotta enjoy everything. I mean, it's so hard to do. It's easy to get stressed and depressed and worked up and angry and all that, but
Yep.
I guess you just gotta try your hardest to love every moment because you never know, like you said. I mean, you really never know with anything. Could be your last time playing hockey, could be your last time, doing whatever it is.
Yep.
So gotta
Yeah,
live every
exactly.
moment, love it.
Yep. Enjoy it while you have it, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Peyton, thanks for coming on the podcast. Really enjoyed talking about your journey. Um, you got a lot of unique kind of things that I hadn't heard before about kind of like doing both, AAA and then high school, and then going to a team that was kind of one of the first to do it a little different in the NAL and the NAL 3, and then some awesome experiences at Stout. So thanks for hopping on the podcast. Good luck with Eau Claire here coming down the stretch be follow. It's gonna be hard. I don't know who to root for in the WEAC. Now I
Yeah,
got
I know
two guys that
you got a lot of favorites. I was listening to Nick, and it was kind of funny when I was listening to that podcast, and he's like, "We're you when you're like you're 8-1 and one at home." Like, yeah, we're one of those losses, that's for sure. So it was kind of something funny, but
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be. We hope to see him in the conference finals. That's for sure. That's the plan, and we're gonna stick to that. So hopefully we see him again. But I understand it's gonna be pretty tough for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least, if you guys are in the finals, I'll be happy whoever wins, whichever one it is. I mean, I'll have a guy to root for on each team.
For sure. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it, man.